All right, wrapping it up. Here we go. Time for the deep dive. We finished the AFC East. Check out all the old videos. Go to SBR, YouTube, whatever you want to do. 2 divisions down here. NFC West and now the AFC East. We finished with the Jets. Open 5.5. Big move at the South Point. They're down to 4.5 with their win total. And Peter King thinks they'll be the worst team in the NFL. Last year, 5-11 straight up. 6-10 ATS. 7-8-1 to the under. Mainstream stats. 14 takeaways was 29th. 34 giveaways was 31st. Minus 20 turnover margin. Tied for the Bears for dead last. 5.3 yards per play, below average. 4.3 yards per rush, right around league average. 6.6 yards per pass, that was 25th. 35 sacks allowed, middle of the pack. Now defense, they were terrible. I think they gave up the 5th most points in the league. 98.5 quarterback rating allowed, 30th. 27 sacks, only 3 teams had fewer. 3.7 yards per rush, that was 4th in the NFL. 21 new offensive coordinators this year in the NFL. Here's one of them with the Jets. Morton takes over as OC. Gailey out the door.
Yeah, John Morton, a guy who took over for Steve Sarkisian as the USC offense coordinator under Pete Carroll. That's his only previous offense coordinator experience. That was back in 2009 and 2010. The last couple years, he was a wide receiver coach in San Francisco under Jim Harbaugh. He was a wide receiver coach in New Orleans under Sean Payton. That's what he's done for the last 4 years. So you talk about coaching under Carroll and Harbaugh and Payton, you know, might be a guy worth watching. You said Peter King said this was the worst team in the NFL. I don't see how they could be worse than last year. And last year they won 5 games. Look, they were minus 20 in turnovers last year. You say the defense stunk. Hey, they stopped the rush. The defense isn't going to be worse than 30th in the NFL against the pass, an opposing QB rating. I think they're going to be better than having, 29th in sacks defensively.
What if they throw Hackenberg in there to see if he can play? I mean, if they get off to a slow start, maybe they're looking at a #1 pick, and they have to decide if they want to go quarterback. You took Hackenberg in the 2nd round. The guy's got to get on the field at some point.
He probably will. But look, so these are all things that were horrible about the Jets last year. Another thing was horrible about the Jets. There was a terrible locker room. Okay, nobody liked anybody. There was a disconnect all over the place. You know, we've already seen the quotes coming out of New York of Brandon Marshall being gone. Bye-bye. You know, Ryan Fitzpatrick. That was a nasty dispute that he had with the front office. It carried over in the locker room. It carried over the whole team. Look at this quote from Matt Forte. You know, being in that locker room and going through that season, we know what the issues were. We identify those issues as a group and meet with the coaches and talk about how do we change that? How do we change the culture in the locker room? How do we change the mistakes we made last year? He said that team leaders have conducted, quote, a lot of meetings with the coaches in the offseason to try to fix these problems. Quote, there's a difference between playing next to somebody and playing for them. I always say that to guys. Like last year, we were in the middle of the season and things weren't going well. We were at practice and I was like, guys, everybody out here is an individual and we're just playing next to the guy. Do you really know that guy? If I'm playing next to you instead of for you, I really don't trust you. So the locker room stunk last year. It can only get better. The turnovers were as bad as it was in the NFL on both sides. That can only get better. Yes, the Jets jettisoned a ton of big-name talent. We'll go through some of the veterans they jettisoned. And yes, their quarterback rotation is Josh McCown, Christian Hackenberg, and Bryce Petty. Not pretty on paper. Obviously one of the weakest in the NFL. But I'm telling you, they're not going to be worse than they were when everyone hated each other a season ago. Well, at least not unless Todd Bowles all of a sudden is a lame duck head coach.
Yeah, that's true.
Quits on the team.
He could be gone in the middle of the season. They got a gift. Adams fell to them at number 6. He went to the team facility and they said, what are you doing here? There's no way you'll be around when we pick. Well, they got lucky and he was there. They also took May, the safety, out of Florida as well. What do you have on the strength of schedule?
Well, just real quick, I want to talk about the offseason because the reason that everyone's going to hate the Jets is because they cut a bunch of big-name players, you know. I mean, whether it's Nick Mangold that you talk about and the guy who's replacing him, you know, Wesley Johnson, 9 starts to his name in 3 seasons. You know, Brandon Marshall gone, Ryan Clady gone, Darrelle Revis gone. You know, the only high-priced guys they've got left, Matt Forte, you know, Eric Decker, who's always been hurt, and the nickel corner Buster Screen, who is a nickel corner. But They did a lot of things right in the draft. They traded down a bunch of times. Their offensive line is going to be better this year, even without, they replaced Clady with Kelvin Beachum. He wasn't effective in Jacksonville, but Clady has never been any good there. And they were able to re-sign a couple of veterans. I think the OL will be better. Todd Bowles, quote, "You don't rebuild, you just build. Every year, whether you win or lose, you just build and keep building. We lost a lot of names. We lost a lot of named players. Mangold, Revis, Brandon. We lost a lot of guys who had a lot of production. But that doesn't mean the other guys can't play. It just means they haven't made household names yet. I'm excited about the young guys." Of course, who'd they sign in free agency? Well, they got the Steelers, Morris Claiborne. They got Morris Claiborne, who can't stay healthy, and Kelvin Beachum, who wasn't good in Pittsburgh or Jacksonville.
All right, agree to disagree. I think they're going to stink. Strength of schedule, right around league average last year, right around league average again this year. AFC East faces the NFC South and the AFC West. That is tough. Two tough divisions. Panthers, Falcons, Saints, Bucks, Broncos, Chiefs, Raiders, Chargers. 7 of the 8 lined at 8 wins or higher. Chargers at 7.5. The 2 extra games, Browns at home and at Jacksonville. And I believe they do not, yes, they do not get a prime time game too. Thank you, NFL. Great job.
Yeah, not even many. Oh, no, they get the Thursday night game against Buffalo.
But one Thursday night. Okay, just one.
Yeah, but every team gets a Thursday night game. From a scheduling standpoint, the Jets are completely and utterly nondescript. There's no significant change from last year. It's not overly tough, but it's certainly not an easy. And of course, being that they're the team that's aligned with the lowest win total in the division, no surprise their schedule grays out as slightly tougher than anyone else. But here's the last question about the Jets. You hate this team. If you were Todd Bowles, you'd rather have been fired after the last year and caught on to somebody's defense coordinator this year, or you got to coach this bunch?
Well, last year,
I think there's hope. I think the Jets
are
going to cover some numbers. I don't know if they're going to win a lot of games. I think they're going to cover some numbers. I think the markets are too low on a team that's not going to be worse than they were a season ago.
Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to our channel. Now, we've put a lot of work into producing all these free videos, so please help us out and keep all our content free for you forever by simply liking, sharing, commenting, and subscribing. Now, not to mention, a visit to our industry-leading website will warm the hearts of all our SBR employees, especially myself. Now, the links are over there to the left, so do check those out. Thanks for watching.